Hello, my name's Lesley Atherton and this is my short story called Barbara Lamb. Am I ready for the next one? Samina asked herself, rubbing her eyes and looking towards the doorway. Whoever invented job interviews needed shooting. She'd been at it for 5 hours already and hadn't encountered a single possible. Who'd have thought it would be so challenging to find just the right activity coordinator for the Osbury Theatre? Samina closed her eyes for a second, then rose from her chair and opened the door. "Barbara Lamb," she called, though there was only a single person in the outer room. "I'm Barbara," said the woman. "I'm lamb, but don't like it, if you know what I mean. Much prefer tuna sandwiches. I could eat them all day and every day." "Really?" said Samina, already suspecting that the next 20 minutes would be a waste of her time. "Do come in, Barbara." The interview room was sparse and was usually used as a storage room for extra chairs and stock for the concession stands. Stacked against the wall behind Samina was a section of scenery, a forest and a decorated gingerbread house from the previous year's pantomime. It was September the 11th, so had been perching in that room for 8 months, much to Samina's dismay. Barbara wandered in and took the seat she was offered. "Ooh, this isn't comfy, is it? It's like sitting on a clothesline. But I'm sure you do that on purpose, you know, to unsettle the interviewees." "I won't get unsettled. Never have, never will." "Aren't you going to introduce yourself?" "It's the height of bad manners, you know. I'm Barbara Lamb. I'm lamb but don't like it, if you know what I mean." The woman's wambling was cut short by Samina. "It's very nice to meet you, Barbara. My name is Samina. You're our final interviewee of the day, and there is some pretty stiff competition. So let's get straight on with it, shall we? What do you think you can offer us that the others can't?" Barbara appeared to consider the question. "I get a 50% discount at Carrigan's Footwear, so if you ever need any shoes or slippers, or maybe a new pair of wellies, I'm your woman." "That may be the case, Barbara, but if you got this job, you wouldn't get that discount anymore, would you? There must be something else amazing about you that you can share with me. You don't mention Carrigan's on your CV at all." "Well, I can tell you that I make a really good stewed apple. It's especially great because I use my secret ingredient, crystallised ginger. It's not easy to get hold of. It's out of fashion, like me and other people my age. Isn't that right?" Samina nodded blankly. "You do understand the nature of this position, Miss Lamb. It's not a catering role. We're looking for a new activity coordinator for the Osbury Theatre. You submitted your curriculum vitae and... Oh yes, here it is. You've worked at the Palace Theatre, the Coliseum, the Bradford Henry and the Dincombs Theatrical Company. Would you like to tell me about your responsibilities and experiences at the Bradford Henry? I'm not aware of that theatre and would be fascinated to hear more." Samina steered herself for further irrelevancies. "Of course, Samina," the woman said. "I took control of school and college liaison and of the production of non-theatre-based shows within the Bradford Henry community. There was a strong and enthusiastic bunch of volunteers. There were daily, weekly and monthly activities, and I took control of the organisation of everything from sponsored spend-a-day-as events to improvisation classes, dress-up and act-up events, and school plays, semi-written by the pupils involved, but instigated by me." Samina sighed a little. The woman had irritated her by arriving in an improvised role, but now she realised it was a selling point, or maybe even an interview technique. She allowed herself to relax. "So do you really make stewed apple with crystallised ginger, Barbara?" Barbara slapped her thigh, much like a hearty pantomime lead boy might. "I do not, Samina." A cheeky smile. Samina burst into laughter. "Well, that's a first," she said, "an improvised role-play interview." Barbara shuffled in her chair. She seemed to have lost 15 years from her age within a few seconds. "I like to make an impression," she said, immediately falling back into her character. "I prefer hush-puppy-type shoes over heels and fancy shoes. Put me in stilettos and I'm like a puppy taking its first wobbly little steps. Did you know that Carrigan's Bunken model is the preferred shoe of all NHS staff in the county? This is why I do what I do. It's an amazing privilege to contribute to the process, and my workmates in the accounts team are of the same mind. Good people, nice people." Samina stood up. "I think we've found a clear winner," she said, holding her hand for Barbara to shake. "Congratulations, Miss Lamb, and welcome to the Osbury Theatre family." It was only as Barbara was on her way out of the room, with the theatre's information pack for new employees and volunteers in her hand, that Samina experienced her first twinge of anxiety. Which was the real Barbara?